Welcome back to Queens Talk. Today we wanted to talk about equal opportunity housing in the rental market. Some of you may know Kayla and I are both landlords, and I have my real estate license. And we work really hard in our community to offer affordable housing for people who rent. We primarily rent in Oak Hill and Fayetteville, West Virginia. And Kayla, for the past year and a half, has been working with her tenants and my tenants. She's helping all of them with something called the Mountaineer Rental Assistance, and she'll explain more.
So the Mountaineer Rental Assistance Program, it started just a little bit after COVID hit. It was some big grant, or I don't know if it was necessarily a grant, but it was just a bunch of money that West Virginia got to help people pay their rent through the pandemic. So basically you just apply online. It's wvmrap.org, and you don't even have to submit like pay stubs or anything like that. All you have to do is provide your lease, proof of identification, so like a driver's license, a passport, a birth certificate, anything like that with your photo on it. And then you have to give them like your birthday, your phone number, your social security number. I'm pretty sure the way that they go by income is they run your social for like your last tax return. So just to talk a little bit about the income requirements, like for a household of 2 people, the household cannot make over $38,000 a year combined.
That's what I was looking up, but I guess you got it memorized.
Yeah. Well, I've submitted probably, I don't know, I have about 50 tenants who are getting rental assistance right now, and I have to resubmit it every 3 months. So
because the beauty of this is you can get this for up to 18 months,
yes,
or until they lose funding.
Yeah,
but I know it was about 6 months ago they were begging people to apply because they have all this
money,
funds, and
they have to use it up before, I don't know before what. I don't guess they have to like send it back anywhere, but yeah, they were just begging people like, please sign up to get this rental assistance because we have all this money that we have to give out.
So just because my mother-in-law, she's retired now, but she used to be a grant writer for the state of West Virginia, the way I think that stuff like this works, because you hear it like at the WIC office and the DHR, they say, we have to spend this money, we need you to apply. Because their next year's, how much they're allowed to get from the federal government is based on what they spent the year before.
Okay, so maybe it's something like that.
If they were only awarded $100 million in 2022, or they were awarded $100 million, but they only spent $50 million, then for 2023, the federal government's like, you don't need $100 million, we're only giving you 50 this year.
Makes
so
sense.
then, when there are more people in need the next year, they don't have the funding.
Yeah. So, like I said, for like a household of 2, the income limit is $38,000, and that's after taxes. And it goes up with however many people you have in your household. So, like if you have 3 kids and 2 adults, then you're a household of 5, and that income limit just keeps going up. So, I think a household of 4 is like 40-some thousand, maybe like 46,000 that you have to be under. But actually, I think I've had some tenants who were over that income requirement. But if you're over the income requirement, then they ask you for some additional stuff because they're just trying to get you approved.
They really want to give you money.
Yeah. So like if you're over that income limit, what I've seen happen is they'll ask like, do you receive any kind of Medicaid or SNAP or anything like that? So I guess if you receive something like that, then they can push you through to get approved for the rental assistance. And one thing a lot of people don't know, they pay your rent for up to 18 months, but they also pay all your utilities for up to 18 months.
Even your internet.
Well, your internet is a one-time $300 stipend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you only get one-time $300 for your internet, but all your other utilities, they'll pay them for up to 18 months right along with your rent.
So water, sewer, power, gas?
Water, sewer, power, gas, trash. I guess that would be all. And even mass fuel. I don't know who would be using mass fuel. I've never had anybody get that, maybe a truck driver or something.
I don't even know what
I
mass
don't know.
fuel is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you know, Robert?
I know where I grew up in Nicholas County, they had 250-gallon tanks outside their house, and that's actually was their heating source.
Okay, so maybe like some kind of for your heating source.
I do know a guy who gets like a big, like a huge tank outside his house,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you use that for a heat source, they'll even pay for your mass fuel. Like I said, I have probably, the last time I counted, it was 40 some tenants, and I just applied 3 people just yesterday. So I know it's over like 50 tenants who have been getting rental assistance. Some people just started and they'll get it for the next 18 months. I've had some tenants who are almost at their 18 months. So for the past year and a half, they haven't paid any rent. And you don't have to pay it back. It's just like if you get food stamps or WIC or, whatever, you don't have to pay any of that back. So if you need help applying, you can even send me a message or something. I'm like an expert at it by this point, so I can help you apply. You just need all those things that I talked about and then your landlord's information. So if you need help, I would be happy to help you out.
and if you're one of our tenants, reach out. I'm sure we've probably reached out to you, but if we can help you get free rent, we want to help you.
Yeah, I have begged my tenants, like, please let me help you. And sometimes it takes a year, but they come around eventually.
She's talking to somebody specific right now. We just won't say who. But speaking of rentals, I feel like there can be a stigma around renting a home versus home ownership. And you really need to think about where you're at in your life and if home buying is beneficial. If you are living, say, here in Oak Hill, West Virginia, but you don't know that you love West Virginia, maybe you're going to have a job take you to North Carolina, you don't want to buy. If you're not good at home maintenance, your AC goes out, your septic tank
Let me
needs
tell
pumped.
you, in the past
You need a new roof on your
in the
house.
past maybe 3 months at my house, my stove went out, my AC went out, I had a leak under my kitchen sink, my toilet stopped working, my hot water stopped working.
It was so much. My 3-year-old looked at Kayla and said, "Well, what? You need to get a new house."
Yes, I need a new roof right now. My backyard was just complete swamp that they had to dig out and put gravel and stuff down. I could probably just go on, but because I rent, I don't have to pay for any of that stuff. That is, I think, the best thing about renting, because you don't have to worry about how am I going to have $1,000 to replace my hot water heater when it goes bad. So
Or your
there is
roof,
a
if your
stigma.
roof's leaking, a roof is $10,000 to $12,000, so things like that, if you don't want to have to budget for that. Property taxes, you have to pay, I think for my house, my property taxes are like $2,500 a year. So
That's a lot of money.
Stuff like that, it's worth renting if you don't want the hassle. You might pay $700 a month rent versus if you were purchasing a house, you would pay maybe $550. But that extra $150 a month really is worth it, not to have to deal with everything that Kayla had in her life happen.
Yeah, and that was just in a few months. I mean, imagine if I had to pay I couldn't pay for that on my own. If I owned that house, I couldn't do it. So, I mean, renting really has a lot of pros.
Yeah. So I was going to do a little truth or myth with Kayla to see how well she knows this rental assistance program.
Let's see.
First question, if they are rent to own, can they apply?
If you have an option to buy your house, you cannot apply. That's how I've understood it, because it asks in your lease, does it give you an option to buy? And I'm almost positive you cannot apply for assistance if you rent to own.
And speaking of rent to own can be great for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. However, if you are doing a rent to own program lease, always go through a lawyer. Do not just print out your own contract from the internet, even if it's notarized. Do not do it. Our real estate lawyer told us just a few months ago that a lot of times they run into the situation where John Doe sells this house to Sarah, and he's 80, and it's on rent to own, and then he dies. Well, when he's dead, that contract is
It's like,
gone.
yeah.
If she has put $20,000 towards this house, and John's heirs want to sell it, they can sell it. There is nothing legally binding. If it's notarized, if you put it in your safety deposit box at the bank, it means nothing. The only way you can do it is through a proper lawyer filed with the courthouse, and even then, it can be tricky. So, rent to own can be delicate. And even if, you know, say the guy you're buying it from is 40, and you think, okay, I'll have it paid off before he dies, he could get in a car crash tomorrow. Like,
Yeah,
not to be
you never know.
morbid, but rent to own is very, very risky.
Yeah.
Okay, so questions. Household members, Kayla talked about. Who is not eligible as a household member?
Who is not eligible? What do you mean?
So a woman is pregnant. Does that count as another household member?
Oh, I don't know. I've never ran into that one. None of our tenants are pregnant.
Yes, pregnant women, that counts for 2 people.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that raises your income limit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that one.
If you have somebody who is in a nursing home, but they could come back to live with you, that counts as an extra person. So that would raise their income limit. If you have a child who is joint custody with, you know, your divorce.
I have a lot of those, and we
As-
haven't had any issues with people claiming that kid on their application.
And children in the process of being adopted, they count.
Oh, I didn't know that one either.
Family members who are in the hospital, but they will be coming back. People who do not count. Live-in aides, so like
Oh,
a
okay.
nurse that, you know, lives with you. A guest who is not a long-term resident. Or if you live in, say, like a duplex, or you rent out by the room, you know, that does not count because they're their own person. Kayla said that, you know, if you are renting to own or you're a homeowner, this program will not work for you. However, there is another program
Yes.
called West Virginia Homeowners Rescue. Again, West Virginia Homeowners Rescue. Google this. The program can help you pay your mortgage. I don't know the specific details about that, but it might be up to 18 months the same. Let's see. Kayla, did you already say what documents they needed?
Yeah.
Okay. So we know what documents.
The biggest question I get is if you get Social Security or disability, can you still apply? Yes, you can.
Or
And-
unemployment. That counts as income. So that
yeah, or
could
unemployment.
go either way. It could help you or hurt you.
Yeah. But I have seen that people who get Social Security or disability, they get approved really fast, actually. I guess because they don't have to look back through tax returns and stuff for income. So if you get like any kind of Social Security disability, you want to apply for this rental assistance because I guarantee you will be approved.
Something else to keep in mind is even if you are behind on rent, you know, you can be 3 months behind. And as long as your landlord cooperates with the program, they will backdate your rent. They will pay your past due rent plus a few months in advance.
That's another question I get too, though. Like, we have tenants who are on time every single month, and they're like, well, I don't really need help. Like, I pay my rent every month and I'm good. You don't have to be behind to apply for this. Like, I have somebody who applied a couple weeks ago. She's paid $200 towards her July rent already, but they're going to finish paying out in July plus pay 3 months ahead. So you don't have to be behind. A lot of people think that you have to be behind. You don't have to be behind. And then after that 3 months, so like they would finish out in July, then they would pay August, September, October. At the beginning of October, she'll apply for 3 more months. And once you're approved the first time, unless something crazy changes, like you win the lottery or something, you're going to get approved again. So the beginning of October, you'll apply again. She'll get November, December, January. Beginning of January, apply again. February, March, April. And it's just that easy.
Something else, you do not receive these funds. Your landlord
Yeah.
and utility companies receive the funds.
Yeah, they pay them directly.
Except for the stipend for the internet. I just read that
They
you do
send that to
receive
you.
that $300 for internet.
Yeah.
But other than that, they get paid directly to the companies. And again, same with your power. If you are way behind, if you are $2,000 behind on your power, they will still pay that plus ahead for you.
Well, with utilities, they don't pay ahead. They pay as your bills come in.
Yeah, because they don't
So-
know what it'll be. But,
Yeah.
They will even pay for late fees. If you owe late fees, they will pay up to $30 per month in late fees.
They will also pay relocation expenses. They will pay security deposits if you have not already paid it. They will not reimburse you for this money. It has to be like you owe this money. They will pay for eviction costs, court costs. I mean, they will pay so much stuff.
And there is no max. So if you meet that income requirement, the sky is the limit. If you need it, they will give it to you.
Yeah.
There is no,
They want to help you.
yes.
And like I said, even if you don't struggle to pay your rent, I mean, what's an extra $600 a month for a year and a half? That's a
Yeah.
lot of money you could put into savings or something.
Yeah, and your utilities, everything, Take your kids on a nice vacation this summer and stow that money away.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a good one. Will a lease between a landlord and a tenant who are related be accepted?
Yes. There's more stuff that you have to go through if you're related to your landlord. Like you have to show evidence of rent payments. Actually, that might be all. You just have to show evidence that you have been paying rent to this person. But other than that, I think that's the only thing that we've ran into. Yeah.
Trailer homes and trailer lot rent, that is eligible. You do have to have a written lease. So if you don't have one, if it's just verbal, first of all, don't ever do that.
Yeah.
Never ever have a verbal lease.
Everything should always be in writing.
be in writing with both of your signatures on it. If you have multiple pages of your lease, initial all the pages so they can't slip something in that you didn't know about. A lot of times people think a lease only protects the landlord. The lease protects the renter more than the landlord, I promise you. So make sure you have a lease. If your landlord will not make you a new lease, you need to move. That's just, if they won't sign a lease, there's problems. If you live in government funded housing, you can still get this. So I guess that's like Pine Knoll, would that be considered government?
I don't know about that. I know that if you receive HUD, you cannot get rental assistance.
That makes sense. Even for their extra bit? Because HUD doesn't always pay.
Yeah, like we have some people who get HUD, but they still pay like $150 a month. But as far as I've seen, you can't get it.
That stinks.
Yeah. I guess because the state is already helping you out. I don't know.
If your landlord pays your utilities, then there's no help for that part, of course.
Yeah, that's included in your rent.
If you're getting some other type of housing assistance, there's nothing there. If you're a new renter, you're brand new, just moved in this house today, you can still apply.
And like I said, if you're just moving in, they'll help you pay your security deposit and relocation fees. So I haven't had anybody claim any kind of relocation fees, but I assume that might be like U-Haul fees, stuff like that.
Deposits for utilities, stuff
Yeah.
like that. You do not have to be a U.S. citizen.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You do have to have some type of identification, so you need an ID,
Passport or something.
but you do not have to be a U.S. citizen. So I think that's pretty much it. Did we miss anything?
I think that's about it, yeah. If you need help applying, just send me a message. You can come to our office and I will gladly help you apply, even if you're not one of our tenants. So it is very, very, very beneficial. I think that's all.
That's all I'm
The
seeing
website
on here.
is wvmrap.org, and you just go in, create an account, and apply as a tenant. And
And just
that's
let your
it.
landlord know, be expecting a phone call. Let them know it's not a scam. I know.
Yeah, I get phone calls like a few times a week for people who apply. It takes less than a minute. They say, "Hey, how much do they pay? What are they behind? Is this their address?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," and they're like, "Okay, that's it."
Yeah, super easy. So, we just wanted to help you get this information. I know some of our viewers might not be in West Virginia. If not, I'm sure there are other programs in other states who do the same thing. And probably even visiting this website and sending them an email asking for that information, they would tell
Give
you.
you some resources.
Yeah. So, if you need anything, let us know. And with all this rent money that you're going to get, spend it at thebboutiques.com. Thanks, guys.